Now we're going to go over the class settings, and those are in the Teacher tab and then under Settings here. Let's just go in order. We start with start and end date, and these are the dates when your class is going to be open. So you can choose a start date, and usually that's going to be September 1st. So let's choose that, and then you can also choose an end date, and that's set up to July 2025. You can also limit students' access to the course after the end date, so that means they can't participate in the content anymore. Usually if you don't enable this, they can still do things in the class, but then their progress is not going to be counted in the reporting environment. And then because we have the start date from September 1st, that means that they're not going to be able to do anything in the class before that. If I switch to student mode, you see which notification they are going to get. This class will start at September 1st, 2024. The second setting is the class mode. Here we have two options. One is practicing and testing, and that's the option we have enabled now. So that means you have a homepage that's full of practice material, and then you have tests separately on the right side of the screen. But you can also have this other option, which is testing only. And I'll show you what that looks like. If I go now to the home page, you see that all of the practice material is moved and there's only the test here. And this is ideal if you want to do just testing on the platform. You don't want students to get confused. Also, if you're saving your practice material, you want to use it only in a test. This is a great way of just closing it off completely. Then we have practice mode, and there are quite a few options here. The first one is exercise by exercise. This is a default setting, which means that when students start a new package of exercises, they need to do each exercise in the order. So they cannot click around, they can't skip some exercises, they have to do all of them. And that's not really ideal. You might want to encourage students to do a bit more freely those exercises. The second option is to learn per sequence of exercises. So they can repeat the exercise once they finished a sequence. I believe that's a package. So when they're done with the package, they can then restart it. Then we have learn without restriction. I usually recommend this one, which means that they can just click around however they want. They can do the exercises in whichever order they want. We also have adaptive exercises. And this means that there's going to be a diagnostic test included per chapter. So at the beginning of each chapter, you're going to see a little stethoscope here. And when they click on the stethoscope, a test is generated and they have to complete the test before the whole chapter opens up for them. So that way they can prove they have enough knowledge and they don't have to do the whole chapter. But otherwise, if they don't do the test well, then they have to go through all of the material in that chapter. In the same setting where the practice mode was, you also have options to hide the solutions during practice, or that you can enable students to add a note to each question. So you can choose those here. Then we come to calculator settings. Here you can decide if you want to have calculator on, off. You can have it only for exercises, only on practice tests, or you can choose recommended settings chosen by author. Usually when authors create exercises, they can indicate if an exercise requires a calculator. So if you choose this setting, that is what's going to be respected. Here are the forum settings. Here you can disable the forum. You can enable closed forum, which means that the students are going to see only their own questions and only the teacher's answers. They're not going to be able to interact with each other. Or you can have the open forum, which is a default setting. And that means that anyone in the class can just see everything, they can answer to any question, and they can also post messages anonymously. Here is where we can enable the AI solution bot, and you can also disable it. I believe it's disabled by default. Underneath the forum, we have the access code, and this is the way you're going to invite people to your platform. I mentioned this before as well. So here we have first the short access code. This is going to be for students who already have an account. If they copy this short access code, they can add it on the home page here under the class lists. And then for the rest of your students, you can use one of these two links. So usually you're going to have this one first. It's going to be cloud.sowiso link. And this link just allows anybody to sign up via the browser. There's usually also an option for people to sign in via LMS or via Surf Connect, so that's going to be the second link here. If your school is using LTI or Surf Connect, do use that link. And it's important that all of the students are signing up through the same link. Underneath here, we have the access codes by group. That's something we explained previously with the group settings. And there's also automatic access via LTI, which is an additional setting for when you're connecting Sowiso to your LMS. Student data. It's another setting where you can request your students to fill in their student number. So if you enable this, all of the students are going to get a pop-up and it's going to ask them to fill in their student number. Here we have allow domains for email registration. So you can also add up certain domains that are allowed. In this situation, it will probably happen if you're using just a browser version. You're not using it connected with Surf or with LMS. And then you can just choose which providers. For example, your university email address can be here. Here are the achievements, and these are some achievements that students can collect through the platform. For example, once they complete certain amount of exercises, or when they log in on a specific day, and they're going to get these small achievements that they can also attach to their account. So if they post on the forum, they're also going to see those badges next to their names. And lastly, at the bottom, we have LTI settings. And these are settings for if your school is using a LMS system. So for example, Canvas or Moodle, Blackboard, stuff like that. Here you can choose if the grades from this class are going to be sent. And then you can also specify which grades you want to send to your LMS system. So you can choose test grades or also grades from practice packages.